Bienvenidos and welcome to LHC membership webinars. Buenos dias to our friends on the West Coast y buenas tardes to those around the country and the world. Today's presentation is titled The Abuelas Project and features panelists Asami Robledo-Allen Yamamoto, Sehila Mota, Reina Murray, and Mel Escobar. My name is René Ballesteros and I serve as the Development Manager at Latinos and Heritage Conservation. LHC is a national nonprofit, and our mission is to help build a movement that affirms Latinx heritage through education, conservation, and leadership development. Friendly reminder for our live audience, we encourage you to add questions and comments in the Zoom chat. We plan to have some time for Q&A after our panelist presentation. And of course, this presentation is being recorded and will be posted on our Latinos and Heritage Conservation website on Monday of next week. So it'll be live to the public in 1 week. For members, we will be sending a link to the recording immediately after this. So if you miss anything, don't worry, you'll get an immediate copy of the recording. So some announcements. This is the first of our 2024 LHC membership webinars programs. And as part of your LHC membership benefits, members get live access to our LHC membership webinars programs and a link to access recordings immediately after presentation. Like I mentioned, this will be recorded, and we invite everyone to consider an LHC membership. So just to kind of talk about some of our upcoming webinars, our next one we have on May 5th, 2024, featuring Jennifer Edgington of the Illinois State Museum, Jennifer Bautista of the National Museum of American History, and tentatively El Colectivo El Ancón de Loíza from Loíza, Puerto Rico. That's in May. Also in September, we'll have a webinar on labeling Latinidad, evolving community identities, featuring Cristina Mora of UCal Berkeley and Stephen Moreno-Terrell from Fullerton College. And finally, to round off our year, we'll be revisiting oral histories in December, on December 9th, with Elena Faules from Latinos in Ohio, also Marta Martinez from the Rhode Island Latino Arts, and some of our LHC staff will be updating our members on some of our projects that are coming up later this year. Once again, you can find all the recordings at our LHC website. If you go to the membership webinars page, there's a button to become a member. And of course, you'll see our recordings and everything that's coming up as well. And once again, we encourage you all to consider a membership. Any level of membership gets you live access to the membership webinars. And of course, depending on each level, you get different benefits like discounts on Congreso, which is coming up later this year. Okay, and now when we get started, I'd like to introduce our presenters today. I'm going to stop my screen share and introduce some of our presenters as they come up on screen. So our project manager is Asami. She's the project manager for LHC, where she manages the Abuelas Project, the Latinx Heritage Preservation Toolkit, and works with graduate fellows. Additionally, she is a doctoral student at the University of Texas in Austin studying bilingual bicultural education. Previously, she was the bilingual and community engagement coordinator at the Kimball Art Museum. Through her work, she has supported Latinx representation, equity and inclusion, multilingualism in museums, and anti-ableist and anti-racist practices in museums, education, and cultural studies. Another person from our LHC team, we also have Sehila Mota is the inaugural executive director for LHC, where she works to ensure that the preservation field is inclusive, equitable, and rooted in the community. She previously worked as a senior field officer for the National Trust for Historic Preservation and the City of Austin, where she championed systemic transformations and a just preservation movement. Over the past decade, she has organized national Latinx preservation conferences, led efforts to save national treasure campaigns such as the LULAC Council Club 60 and Rio Vista Farms, the first U.S. Bracero Reception and Processing Center, and most recently designated a National Historic Landmark. So congratulations on that. We also have today Reina Murray, who is the Associate Director at the Center for Geospatial Solutions at the Lincoln Institute of Land Policy, where she designs and oversees geospatial projects focusing on land use analysis and planning. She was previously the Senior Geospatial Systems Administrator for Johns Hopkins University, and she was the lead GIS administrator for the university's global and US COVID-19 dashboards. Prior to Johns Hopkins, she was the first in-house GIS specialist at the National Trust for Historic Preservation. She's also worked as a consultant for nonprofits like us at LHC. Here at LHC, she serves in this capacity as a geospatial consultant and currently administers and maintains our ArcGIS online organization, and also has helped us, myself and our GIS fellows, in learning more about story maps and kicking off the Abuelas Texas pilot. Reina holds a Master's of Science from the University of Pennsylvania School of Design and a BA with high honors from Swarthmore College. And last but not least, we have Mel Escobar, who is currently the lead GIS fellow with LHC and previously served as an LHC research fellow in the spring of 2024. She also currently works as a research assistant at the Center of Inter-American and Border Studies at the University of Texas, El Paso. For the Abuelas Project, the Texas pilot, she created the Preserving the Legacy of Mexican Migrant Farm Workers and the Preserving Mexican Cemeteries in Texas story map on ArcGIS Online. Great. So with all those presentations, I'll open up the floor to our presenters. Friendly reminder, we will have a Q&A session at the very end, but if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to share them in the chat. So Sehila, go ahead and take it away. I'm going to share the screen for you right now.
Great, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited about this conversation as it's been a very exciting month for us. But if you don't know anything about LHC, I'd love to share more with you. LHC is a nonprofit. We're deeply committed to the work of preserving, conserving, documenting, and helping to protect Latinx communities and heritage throughout the United States. We started out as a very grassroots organization with very passionate individuals and became incorporated 501c3, a nonprofit, in 2020. This month, we were so excited that through the leadership of so many, which you will hear about in Reina's conversation, but through the leadership of many individuals internally with the National Trust, sorry, with the committee, the education committee here with LHC, and also through leadership, through staff, and talented and amazing, wonderful fellows and GIS specialists. We're going to share this really exciting news with you, really centered around the Abuelas Project, which, next slide, please. So the Abuelas Project really is centered on prioritizing social and racial justice within historic preservation. As you may or may not know, that out of all of the listings in the National Register of Historic Places, only 0.05% are associated with Latinx heritage. And this is even despite Latinxes being the largest and longest standing ethnic group here in the country. This lack of representation has really resulted in a significant loss for our cultural heritage. And this can be anything from imminent danger, such as demolition, or not being documented, and our history just being lost and erased over time. So many individuals, knowing this, that were concerned with Latinos and heritage conservation, conceptualized the Abuelas Project. And next slide, please. The Abuelas Project is an online digital repository, and it's really made to help inventory cultural heritage. And we see this in, many things, in the tangible, intangible. We often say that the Abuelas Project is going to be a central hub for our own culture and heritage. And it really is a product that we're very excited about. It pays homage to our grandmothers who passed down nuestra historia and all of the oral history telling and all of the cultural sharing and cultural bearing that wonderful matriarchs have done throughout our entire lifetimes and since before time. So with that, I will pass this along to our wonderful and amazing GIS specialist, Reina, but also just want to say thank you so much. We look forward to the conversation following this presentation.
All right. Thanks so much, Sehila. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining. I'm going to walk through and give a little bit more background on the platform itself. And to do that, I wanted to start by first going back a little bit in time and talking about just all that we've done with the Abuelas projects, because when we first started, we were everything that we did in the first year really has helped inform the platform, why we chose it, why we've chosen to move in the direction that we have. So wanted to start by first showing this very basic timeline. This has, as Sehila has noted, been a multi-year effort that I've been really privileged to be a part of. Back in 2021, LHC's board members secured funding to start phase 1 of the Abuelas Project, which really focused on developing a strategic plan and vision. I was brought on board at that point and worked with the board to identify and prioritize the needs and goals of the project, and to work with the board to determine a path forward. So we had a wonderful year, and in 2022, we finished phase 1, which culminated in a strategic plan that recommended the next steps for the project. And then I've had the pleasure of working with LHC's staff on developing the platform and the content for the Abuelas Project over the past year in phase 2. And that leads us to now with the launch here in 2024. Next slide, please. So back in phase 1 in 2021, we worked on a number of things, but I'm only going to really focus on 2 here today. We first started with doing a needs assessment to identify and prioritize the goals, objectives, and audience of the Abuelas Project, and to identify and prioritize the key platform features. Doing that allowed us to then also do a platform assessment where we looked at existing projects that board members really liked or also maybe didn't like, to look at what types of features we maybe wanted to see happen in the Abuelas projects or what we wanted to avoid. And we then were, through doing that needs assessment and that platform assessment, we were able to evaluate and look at different platforms and decide which one best met the identified feature needs for the first stage of the Abuelas project. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the Abuelas projects had a number of goals in the beginning, and the intent wasn't to remove any goals, but instead to really prioritize them. We knew this was going to be a multi-year effort, and to ensure its success, we wanted to just figure out where we wanted to focus our attention for an initial launch. And so you see here the 6 goals that were identified by the board members for the Abuelas projects, and we chose to focus on the first 2 that you see in that slightly darker font at the top. So the first goal was to collect, curate, and amplify stories about places that matter to Latinx communities for diverse audiences. And the second was to create a centralized space for information related to Latinx historic preservation. This includes things like theme studies, historic resource surveys, inventories, nominations, and other special studies. Next slide, please. And the other thing that we wanted to do was also look and prioritize the data sets. There's a lot of different data out there. And for this initial launch, the board decided that we really wanted to prioritize crowdsourced data. And we define this as places, history, and culture that are submitted by members of the Latinx community, regardless of its status or potential for nomination to a formal registry. We did want to make sure we collected and acknowledged any existing formal information, and by that we mean any place related to Latinx history that has been formally recognized in some way, whether that's through the National Register of Historic Places or the National Historic Landmarks Program, or like a state or local or state registry, or another state program such as, say, the Texas Historical Markers Program. As Sehila noted when she spoke, there is quite a dearth of places that are formally nominated in these registries. We still wanted to make sure we captured that, but we really wanted to prioritize expanding beyond just these formal inventories and opening this to members of the Latinx community to share not only places, but history and culture that are important. The other thing we chose to do is we decided we really wanted to focus on creating curated content. And by curated content, we meant interactive digital exhibits that focus on a particular theme or topic or place that allows LHC to incorporate both formal information as well as that crowdsourced data and also independent external research. We saw this as a wonderful opportunity for LHC to collaborate with researchers, partner organizations, and interested members of the Latinx community. And it also allowed us to think about presenting this information in a way that was not solely map-centric, which is something we really wanted to avoid doing. Next slide, please. In terms of then platform priorities, the board members had said that they wanted the platform to be both open and accessible, but we needed to make sure we defined those terms. By open, we knew we wanted it to be free for visitors to access, as well as free for visitors to submit or add content or suggest content. And by accessible, we knew we wanted it to be bilingual, if not multilingual, and device and screen agnostic, and have a multitude of different ways for a visitor to search and access the underlying data. The other things to consider was that it be something that's easy to use and maintain for staff. While a custom option would perhaps allow us to meet all of the needs of the Abuelas Project, that would also be a significant burden for staff to manage and maintain with a full custom setup, where maybe you need to manage not only the platform itself, but the underlying cloud infrastructure, et cetera, and onwards. So we were really looking at software as a service models that had good documentation, good tech support, and also had widgets or applications or tools that could meet these various needs for creating curated exhibits and also collecting crowdsourced data. We also wanted something where the costs were very clear and not something where, you know, one month it might be, the cost may seem low, and the next month suddenly with high demand, the cost skyrockets. So we wanted to make sure this was something that was easy to maintain long-term for LHC staff. Next slide. So given that, what we chose to work on and use was ArcGIS Online. We had also considered Omeka and a few other platforms as well back in that planning stage. We ultimately, after doing some beta testing back in phase 1, chose to go with ArcGIS Online. And so now LHC has an ArcGIS Online organization, and we're taking advantage of Esri's Experience Builder application, which essentially is like a standalone web app that you can create. What's great about this is it allows us to embed the Abuelas Project site directly on LHC's site, but it can also be clicked on and run as a standalone website. And within those Experience Builder applications, we are referencing story maps that our GIS research fellows produce, as well as a Survey 123 application that has multilingual functionality. Next slide. So this is just a quick video to show you what the site has now, what the site looks like. What I really love about it is that from looking at the site, you wouldn't necessarily tell that this is a GIS-centric platform application. We really wanted to move away from just having a map-centric view of the data. We wanted to make sure it was easy to switch between languages, and we wanted to promote the stories, the curated exhibits that our fellows are producing. So that comes first before this pilot project that we created that condenses the formal data sets that exist for Latinx community sites in the state of Texas. And we will be adding to this over time. So you still get the map, but it's not, you know, front and center, and we're able to have just a rich interactive experience and a survey form that allows folks to submit places and stories and culture and history for consideration. So yeah, that's the basic gist of how the project came to be and in terms of the application. Now I'm going to pass it on to Mel to talk through some of the wonderful research and story maps she's created for the site that really gets to the heart of the Abuelas Project, the curated exhibits.
Okay. Thank you again. So yes, I go by Mel Escobar, and I was fortunate enough to be part of the Abuelas Project during phase 2. And as you can see right here, I started off, fortunately, I had the great advice from everyone from the team in terms of the direction and the topics. So the story map that I created or developed was one in regards to Mexican migrant farm workers, also known as braceros, and also Mexican cemeteries as well. I started off doing the research, like reading almost everything as much as I could, honestly. I technically relied on the library here. I'm actually in El Paso, Texas. And fortunately, UTEP has a very great source special collections in terms of resources regarding the braceros. So I would always kind of go there every every moment that I can to kind of look at the books, the videos that they have, the images, and so much more. So I reached out to many experts as well during the process, Dr. Leva as well, people on this team as well. And it really came to life by looking through like all the videos through the Bracero History Archive, which has many which is a great source to use if you're looking into the braceros and their history. There's many videos in regards to their time, their kids, images as well, which really help with the development of the story map. And not only the Braceros project, but I also worked on the Mexican cemeteries as well. So I kind of started off looking at the Texas Historical Commission. They have a great GIS feature layer that has all of the cemeteries that they were able to map out and provide to the public as well. So, oh, next slide, please. Kind of, yes. So with the Bracero story map, I actually wanted to show like two of my favorite story maps or maps that I created during the project. And as you can see on the left hand at the top, this actually is a map of the migratory reception centers in Mexico. So there's actually dozens of them, and it was actually supposed to be closer to the border within like 100 miles away, but that wasn't the case, as you can see through this map. So with the story map, you're able to look at many, the background of the braceros, especially in Texas, because that is the focal region of this of the story map in particular. And then it goes into their process, starting from their time in Mexico up into the point to the bracero reception centers here along the border. And as you can see on the right, I included the map of the Rio Vista site, which, as I mentioned earlier, was designated earlier last year. So that's really great to see that this site is coming more to like the public's awareness and so forth. So it's really interactive, and it really allows like everyone to kind of just get like a background of braceros and their time in Texas, but it also goes into like individual stories as well. So I really wanted to map out like their journey, starting from their birth to what happened after, like what were their journeys, what did their journeys look like after their time in the Bracero program. So you can see there's many images as well. So many government data sources were able to offer these images for the use of the story map, and you can kind of see like images from their time processing through the Bracero Reception Center, also times of working during in areas such as Pecos, or even like Socorro and El Paso, many other regions as well. So I really wanted to kind of incorporate many images, videos, maps, as a way to kind of like walk you through, almost like you're walking in through like a museum for this project. And next slide, please. And also another interesting research that I was able to do was one about the Mexican cemeteries as well. This story map, it does include like three, four sites of Mexican cemeteries in Texas, but you can also kind of like mess around with the applications of the map as well, in terms of finding areas that are very concentrated with cemeteries. As you can see on the left in the little image of the computer right there, there's like a map of Texas showing the many hotspots of Mexican cemeteries. And I really wanted to also kind of like filter that out with the help of Reina, of course, to kind of figure out the the locations of Mexican cemeteries, because they do come with in terms of like researching and finding these cemeteries. It's also important to know kind of just like the origins and common names that are associated with Mexican cemeteries. So a lot of them, of course, it started with like Mexican, cementerio, rancho, Catholic, Spanish, and of course there's many more, but this kind of gives like a breakdown of all the most of the locations, which you can kind of see right there is like kind of like closer to like San Antonio, Austin, on the border as well, which is where a lot of populations of Latinx individuals are residing, which also within the story map, you can kind of like look into the percentage of these populations per census tract or county within the Texas region. So there's many stories that this story map covers, and it really looks into also abandoned cemeteries. Very important because there are many times where cemeteries just kind of go unnoticed due to just zoning, the process of just urbanization as well. And there's an image right there where where it shows the actual like overgrown an overgrown area where a cemetery actually existed like as well. So there's a lot of efforts in terms of like preservation and work, and it does highlight some steps that community members can also take in terms of just taking a step in your own community and making sure that we're preserving these cemeteries for the future for everyone, especially with all of the history that it holds and all of the cultural context that makes it so significant for our community as well. So I think that actually that is the bulk of like of the projects that I was able to work on during the spring of 2023. So it was really fun to kind of create these maps, these images, kind of putting them together to make it easy and accessible for everyone to just to read over, to also be inspired to also preserve our sites as well. So thank you again.
Great. Thank you, Mo. And congratulations. This really is great work. So hi, I'm René Ballesteros coming back on. Currently work with Latinos and Heritage Conservation as the development manager. But last year, along with Mel, we came onto the team as graduate fellows. I came on the team as a community engagement graduate fellow, helped with building the website and putting some resources together with LHC. The staff recognized my passion and also want to work on a GIS product as well, and gave me the opportunity to create one of the maps that is featured on the Texas pilot project. This is all about conjunto music, Texas conjunto music specifically. And conjunto, if you're not aware, is a music that grew out of South Texas and the borderlands, a fusion of many different cultures, but it's accordion-based music accompanied by a bajo sexto, which is a type of string guitar that provides rhythm and bass, and has grown since the early 20th century into a really thriving genre of music in South Texas and beyond, of course. So because of that, because of the growth of it, most recently, I titled this one Conjunto Creciendo, because it really does seem like it's growing because of the amount of artists that are out there, the people that go to dances like this, and even the education programs that are all over the states. So like Mel kind of mentioned about this being like a museum exhibit. And early on, as I was doing research, it was so apparent and aware that so many folks had already done so much work around conjunto music. Medrano at UTRGV, the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, has a great collection and featured, a lot of video, Lupe signs as well, Acordeones de Texas, the Texas Conjunto Museum and Hall of Fame in San Benito, of course, the Guadalupe Cultural Arts Center in San Antonio. All these places have been doing amazing preservation work using audio, visual media to put this together. So when you visit the Conjunto Creciendo website, you'll see a lot of that. Today, I wanted to highlight some of the maps that we created along with this. So a couple of the maps that are featured in this, although this isn't necessarily map-centric, it does really show a big history of conjunto music, how it grew, a lot of the artists, the places, into almost different case studies. These are some of the maps that were featured and that really highlight a lot of the history. So the first one, kind of big sections of people and places around this music, was the Texas Conjunto Artist Map. So this one features artists from all over the states. This one highlights Santiago Jimenez Jr. in San Antonio. So when you go into that map, you can go around and see the artists, some of their biographies, and learn more about their background. Also, the studios, the recording studios where they printed vinyl discs, also the radio stations, and even our TV stations. So there were also TV stations like in South Texas, for example, at the Johnny Canales show that a lot of people grew up with watching on Sunday, Aquí Rogelio. So I wanted to highlight those as well as being major players in the music and the formation and development. And a few other maps to highlight as well is, of course, places where this music was performed and where people socialize and dance is the dance hall map. This includes maps, in North Texas, but a lot, of course, in South Texas, because since many of the artists come from South Texas, that's where you'll find many, many dance halls. With some of these maps that were created from LHC, we do have, as Reina mentioned earlier on, we do have a survey form. So for any of these, if you go to the maps and you see something, oh, we're missing this map, they should add this artist maybe, or this recording studio was over here, you can use that survey. We're hoping to get community to come in and help us enrich these maps, fill in more stories, especially for places that may be lesser known. Also, we had a great partner. This is a great map put together by a researcher focusing on San Antonio and the dance halls there. We're thankful for them to be able to provide that as well. And a couple of the other final maps I wanted to share is, as I mentioned, Conjunto seems like it's growing, South Texas especially, but the Texas Conjunto Education Map. This features, like I mentioned, some of the museums that have cultural festivals, but also high schools, middle schools, colleges, and universities that hold Conjunto-specific programs. In Texas, mariachi is a UIL competition. Conjunto is not, because the music isn't necessarily written down. So because of this, a lot of these schools, they do it because of passion, because the families are into it, and it's a big part of cultural belonging. This definitely was, and then finally, the last one I wanted to mention as well is the Big Squeeze contestant map. That is a contest, a statewide contest hosted by Texas Folklife. When I was working at the Museum of South Texas History in Edinburgh, they came down to us and said, we need a semifinals just for Conjunto, because there are so many contestants from around the state, and especially South Texas. They documented these contestants over years. So special thanks out to them and this wonderful map that shows a lot of the contestants who have gone on, who won, who participated, who've gone on to become recording artists in their own right as well. So certainly this was an amazing endeavor. I learned a lot through ArcGIS Online and that opportunity, but it was also a great opportunity to honor a really unique product of heritage from South Texas and Texas beyond. It's like a love letter to the Rio Grande Valley and some of the folks who have really positively affected me and helped me understand kind of how important this music is, how precious it is in a way. On Sundays, you kind of go outside and you can hear that music and smell barbecue. So it's a big part of living on the border. And yeah, with that, I'm going to hand it back over to, I believe, Sehila or Asami's coming on to talk about some of our future projects. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rene. So what's next for the Abuelas Project? We're really excited that we're going to be hitting the road in May to start mapping out the Route 66. So all the work is going to accumulate we're going to start in March, and it's going to be, we're going to have 3 fellows, and Mel is going to come back to LHC as our GIS lead. And the 3 fellows are going to split up 4 states. So we're going to explore Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. And they're going to research different sites on and close to along Route 66. So what are some Latinx sites and stories and people that have contributed to Route 66? We're really excited to start off this endeavor. If you can go to the next slide, please. Here you could read a little more about the project goals and project highlights, but really we're just trying to uncover the hidden stories or the erased stories of Route 66. So it's going to be really exciting. The fellows are going to come on board soon, and they're going to be looking at everything from hospitality to food to murals. It's going to be a really great range of themes. Okay, next slide, please. And then after that, we're really excited. We're going to start doing some, or not after, before that, we're going to start doing some in-person events. So on March 30th, we're going to be at the Easter extravaganza for the city of Socorro near El Paso, Texas. And we're going to be celebrating Cesar Chavez Day. So during that day, we're going to have different activities for folks to learn more about Cesar Chavez and his role and how that's impacted braceros and farm workers today. So definitely keep an eye out for more information. If you are in the area, we'd love to see you come out. And then very excited to share that on May 11th, Rio Vista Farm will be getting its National Historic Landmark. So there's going to be a really wonderful community event also on that day. So again, keep a lookout for more information. It's going to be a really fun party and celebration. And we're also going to have on-site Abuelas contributions. So if you are in El Paso and you want to come share your story, you'll be able to do it on site at that moment and see your submission live. It's going to be really exciting. And then lastly, in July, we're going to come back, date TBD, and we're going to host a teacher professional development workshop. And in that workshop, we're going to show educators how to best integrate historic preservation and Latinx heritage into their classrooms. Again, more information is going to come on that soon. And yeah, so just keep up with our social media and you'll see more in-person events coming up. We can't wait to work with you all in person. And I'll hand it back to Renee.
Thank you so much. We have a couple closing slides, and of course, I invite our panelists or presenters to come back on screen for our Q&A session. So if anybody who's watching, of course, have any questions or even just letting us know congratulations, please put it in the chat. So of course, save the date. In August, we will be in San Diego, California for our Congreso 2024. This is our biannual conference. Every other year we host it around the country. This year we'll be in San Diego. So we're looking for sponsors. We're also inviting our members, of course, to sign up and if they can make plans to attend. And a friendly reminder to everybody, please consider a membership with Latinos and Heritage Conservation. Through different levels of membership, you get different benefits, but of course, all levels get access to our LHC membership webinars program. Great. So with that, I will close our screen share and invite our panelists to come back on screen. And of course, anybody has any questions, please put one in. But I'll go ahead and start with a question if I can do this open to all of our panelists. First of all, congratulations on the project to everybody, right? Including our board and our founders of LHC. And it was a long time kind of vision come to light, and with more coming up as well. But I wanted to ask, for if somebody wants to get into GIS heritage mapping, what are good resources? What's a good route to find out more?
Oh, okay. I will jump on. I definitely feel like Texas Historical Commission really helped me a lot in terms of just tracking down some of this like shape files as well for the story map to develop. And then I also think it's also useful to just kind of create like maybe like your own like feature layer, your own Excel sheet, or just like sites that you really want to include, or you found that is really important for maybe the topic of your research. So that's kind of what I found useful, because I was able to well, I was shared many information. I found many information in regards to the braceros in Texas. And so it was really useful to kind of just jot down these locations and just create like a layer within ArcGIS Online to kind of just see this visually, because sometimes it's really difficult to find these layers available, because most of the feature layers that is available doesn't really pertain to the heritage sites, especially for Latinx community. So I think it's really important to kind of just start contributing yourself and kind of just creating that database from scratch. So I definitely think that would be one route of going about that.
Yeah, and I'll jump in. I think I highly agree with all of Mel's points. And then, sorry. And then I think the other important thing to keep in mind, I always like to say, you know, with GIS, GIS is really about linking spatial information with descriptive information. And with historic preservation, you have it's a really great fit for GIS, because you usually are looking at places, so you have strong spatial information. How you choose to sort of render that spatial information or display it can vary, but when you're looking at places, it's such a natural fit. And depending on what you want to do, whether you want more of a web-based application or if you want to just start with a print map, there's so many different tools and options out there now. There's a lot of great resources, whether you choose to go with something like Esri, which is a commercial software that does have excellent resources and guides, or if you choose to go open source with tools like QGIS or Leaflet. And so I think the important thing is, just as Mel said, to start and having a question and having a project in mind of, you know, like, oh, I'm interested in studying the history of XYZ, and I know I want to make a web map with that. You'll learn so much along the way. I think what's fun for me, especially with GIS technology, is it's constantly changing. So I remember saying to both Renee and Mel back when we were doing trainings, a lot of times I would be talking or making video clips and everything like that of different tools, and the underlying concepts won't change, but the tools itself will probably change, because the technology just keeps evolving and keeps being updated, especially with the cloud-based tools. And so being willing to have an open mind and just dive in and play, it makes a huge, I think is really key. And there are, as Mel said, there are some great resources between looking at what certain states have done, or looking at what the National Park Service has done, or other resources. Those can be a really good place to start to think about, like, oh, I see a project that's really cool, I want to learn how to replicate that. And that can be a really good way to learn GIS.
Cool. Thank you so much. And of course, friendly reminder, yeah, Laura, I see you with your hand raised. You're welcome to come on screen or
I'm recovering from COVID, so I'm going to stay off screen, but so grateful to see all of you. And just, you know, first, obviously, I want to just say I admire you all for the amount of work that has gone into this. And it's just, I'm so happy that Abuelas is out in the world. So thank you. I have a couple of open-ended questions, if that's okay. And, you know, what I'm most interested in at this point, I know it's just been a recent launch, but I'm curious what the initial reactions have been to Abuelas as you've been out in the community doing your other, you know, education preservation outreach projects. You know, what community members are saying and what other preservation organizations are saying. And I'm really curious too about the reaction or the response to the idea of creating a people's registry, which is so powerful in and of itself. And then for all of you, I'm curious if there are any big picture lessons that you've learned during these first few phases, and what you're most excited about as the project grows beyond Texas. So I know that's a lot. I'm curious about the process and the thinking that you're all doing as this grows.
I'll jump in to help answer some of those. And I'm so glad that you're here, Laura. I hope that you're feeling better. So as far as the initial reaction, it's been overwhelmingly positive. As we go throughout, we've been, visiting with a lot of partners in person and virtually, and sharing things like the Abuelas Project as a form of not only documenting, but validating our own history. And that really resonates so much with community, just to have a place to be able to share those stories, to capture them. We hear a lot of excitement of wanting to contribute, or, oh, I should contribute this, or I want to contribute that. And so that has been just so lovely to see community get excited about it. And then as far as other historic preservation orgs, again, like overwhelmingly positive. I think, whenever we do those formal presentations, they tend to be a lot more formal, or we're talking about more statistics and talk about how this is a people's registry, talk about the why it's important. It's like people gente led, and that in this way we get to say what matters to us. So sharing with them that not only will it be a place that is centered in community and community voice, but having it be a repository for local, state, and national federal practitioners, that really resonates. And we've had, a few individuals, at the national, federal level that are asking about it, like how can they integrate this into their own work? How can their staff integrate this as they're going out and doing outreach throughout the country? And I think that one of the biggest things is that it's going to be bilingual, where people can submit bilingually to, abuelas. And so that also resonates in that it doesn't ostracize anyone, like in saying it's only English based, or, only Spanish based. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'll stop there and see if anybody else has anything to contribute.
I'm happy to jump in. Yeah, so I've heard nothing but excitement. And, when we've taken the project and shown it, and we're going to be showing it over in DC this week, and we're really excited to see the reactions, and how representatives can share it with their communities. I think it's going to be wonderful as word starts to really get out there. I'm really hoping that we see an increase in self-submissions, so that the Abuelas Project, it's wonderful right now. I love it. We have 3 beautiful themes, and I'm really excited to see what gente come up with, and what other themes we start to explore. Besides Route 66, which is going to be amazing. It's going to be the best theme ever. It's going to be great. But yeah, I'm really excited to see more community interact with it. I think it's such a unique project, and this is such an empowering project where gente is going to have the power to say we matter, and look at how long we've mattered. And that, I think that's incredible.
Great, thank you. I see a hand up with Jennifer. You're welcome to come on mic or screen. Go ahead.
Hey. I just want to say I went home this weekend for my nanny's 97th birthday because of this. It's like one of those things where it's like you need to like film everything and talk to people and record everything. And I just really appreciate all the work you're doing.
Thank you so much. And shout out to Jennifer Perez, also a fellow with LHC. I think just to add a little bit, I think from my end with Conjunto, definitely there were so many partners in the community who are actively doing this work. I sent this out like to everybody if I could, either social media or email, and the responses have been just like, this is incredible, comprehensive. But I think what I'm really looking forward is hearing some teachers and professors, community members also say, I'm going to share this with my classroom, or with somebody who's at this department, and this is a great tool that we can use. I guess maybe a question for next steps, also excited to hear about Rio Vista, is how can you see this pilot project, these story maps, being leveraged in education settings and museums and K-12 and beyond? I'll open this up to our panelists.
I do want to add to that, because you were mentioning about like where would this look like in education settings. I do want to mention like Well, so I'm a TA here at the University of Texas at El Paso. So my professor was actually excited to share the story map that I created with LHC to the students. So it was really fun to kind of show all the work that LHC has like really like put into this like Abuelas project, and the students were really interested in seeing how you can use like maps, images, everything like available publicly free for them to just like read and learn more about not only the history of braceros, but the braceros also came through El Paso. So it was really like a great connection for students to also to make and realize what you can do moving forward with projects and stories like the braceros, Mexican cemeteries as well. So I do think it's a great tool to further introduce now and later to colleges, elementary, so forth. I mean, I'm sure like these tools are something exciting to introduce now with well, I guess our community today. So because I know my sisters love it as well. They're also in like elementary and like high school. So I think like it really reaches many audiences, and I'm excited to kind of see that move forward in the future.
Absolutely. I think the other thing that I will add is that for the future of Abuelas, I also see this as another way for us to do multi-generational outreach and to continue and educating, like so much of Comunidad does. Like it's always so collective and so collaborative and multi-generational. So I'm just really excited to see that in practice when we go out in community and do these workshops. I think that it's just going to be like such a lovely thing to witness, but also encourage some of those conversations, like Jennifer was just saying, to document those histories and to be able to capture that on site. So the multi-generational aspect, super excited about that. The other part is that I'm very excited about these educational educational workshops that we're doing. And through that, for me, one of the most powerful things is that, our history has just been erased, systematically, especially here in Texas. And I feel that this is a way that students can feel validated, can learn about their own history through place or heritage, through the different workshops that we're hosting, and then also the curricula that will be set out for them.
And I was also going to share, I love the collaboration between the Abuelas Project and the Latinx Preservation Toolkit. And that's something that we're going to keep, making additions and addendums to. So for example, again, for Route 66, we'll be able to record more oral histories and then really break it down for a comunidad on how to do these oral histories and how to really preserve this history. And that's really going to hopefully inform the Abuelas Project so that folks don't feel like, oh, it's a registry, it's scary. No, we really hope to demystify it. And also through the Abuelas Project being so accessible and community centered, we really hope that that folks will have the tools and feel powerful enough to submit their histories.
Great. So with that, I think we're getting close to time. Any closing thoughts from any of our panelists today? All right.
I just want to say that because Laura and Desiree are here, and this has been a multi-year, multi-collaborative endeavor, and it was one of the biggest projects that we've taken on as LHC. Like this was before staff, and I've been thinking a lot about how many people have touched this project, like Abuelas in particular. And, I don't know, 50, 75 that have been a part of this, including like state and local partners, researchers, and, but also through the leadership of, LHC board and a lot of that heavy lifting that was done early and strategically. So I just want to recognize everybody here. Laura and Stephen isn't here, but, this is like such an accomplishment for all of us. I'm so proud of us.
Thank you so much for saying that.
Sehila, I just wanted to chime in as we close and say thank you to all the staff and the fellows for all your hard work, because you all really did the hard work, right? We, yes, got it off the ground and supported the idea and all that. And Laura did do a lot as a volunteer, I will say that. But I know the, you know, the blood, sweat, and tears came from the staff. So, I mean, I'm just making that assumption. Anytime there's a big effort like this, you know, I know a lot of work goes into it, and it's really beautiful, and I'm so impressed and so happy with it. So thank you for all your contributions.
Wonderful. Thank you all for the closing thoughts, and looking forward to the future of this project, of course, and the work that we'll keep doing. Friendly reminder that this recording will be published on our LHC website a week after this presentation. Members will receive a link immediately after, and we invite everyone to consider an LHC membership. Your membership supports work like this and will give you live access to our 2024 and beyond LHC membership webinars, discounted registration at our Congreso 2024 conference in San Diego, and much more. To purchase an LHC membership, please visit latinoheritage.us/memberships. Thank you all so much for joining today, and have a great day. Gracias a todos.